Well, hello everybody. It is a beautiful sunny day here in East Tennessee. It snowed all morning long and all of a sudden the sun came out and it's just a beautiful afternoon. So I thought this is going to be the perfect time to do an update on my Thanksgiving cacti. I have a lot of questions from you all as far as how to care for them in the month of January. And I thought I'd go over some of the questions and just kind of show you what my plants look like right now. Several of you have asked me, do I take cuttings from these yet? And I don't in the month of January. The plant is recovering from blooming. Well, as you see, this one is still blooming profusely, but they're still kind of what I would call they are recuperating from their bloom cycle. And I have some new segments growing on some of my plants that I'll show you, but I wouldn't take cuttings yet. January is not a really good time to start getting things to grow. And root growth, it does take quite a bit of energy for those segments to produce roots. So I would wait until springtime when you've got more sunny, warm days, and you're going to get roots a lot quicker from the segment cuttings than this time of the year. Now, if they're falling off of your plant, which that has happened to me a few times, I would go ahead and just place them back in the dirt. Who knows, they might root just fine. Or you can root them in water, either way. But set them up in a sunny windowsill if that does happen. Set the cuttings in a sunny windowsill so they're going to have some warmth and they're more likely to root. But I would not be taking cuttings yet. I'm going to be doing some videos for you all in the spring when I do shape these up and trim them back. So that will be something really fun to share with you all. And back in my December update video, if you all will remember, the buds were setting on this plant. For some reason, it just doesn't bloom Thanksgiving. This one usually blooms in January. And I think they all have their own little timetable of when they like to bloom, and that's fine. These can bloom whenever they want to, but the blooms on this one are very, very beautiful. One of the reasons why I don't want to cut any of mine is you do have a possibility of it blooming again, even in a month or two. And if you take cuttings right now, you'll cut off the tips where it's going to bud. So I'm just leaving mine alone right now. I'm kind of seeing where they're growing. Sometimes they'll start growing from an older part of the plant that you think is going to be really good to cut from, and all of a sudden you'll get new growth from that part of the plant. So let me show you on my white one what I'm referring to. Do you see all this new growth? The new growth is light green and it's kind of tinged with pink, which is very, very pretty. But I don't want to cut back those areas. When I do cut them back, I'm wanting to cut the parts that don't bloom, that don't have a chance of blooming next year. These will form new buds next year. These longer segments that you see over here that don't have anything growing off of them, those are the ones I'm going to want to cut back in the spring because they don't have any active growth on them. And this is my pink one, and as you see, it's got a lot of new segments that have grown on it just in the past month. So I'm continuing to water and fertilize very regularly because all of this new growth needs fertilizer and it needs water, or it just won't grow. So as you see, the plant doesn't look like it just came out of a bloom cycle. When I was going off of my old regimen where you don't water that much after the plant blooms, the plant would just kind of sulk. And I thought that can't be good. So I started watering and fertilizing them a few years ago while they're blooming and even right after their bloom. Throughout the whole year, I pretty much keep them on the same regular watering and fertilizing routine. they do so much better. Now, this time of the year, they're not going to take up as much water. So, like when I water and fertilize, I'm only using about maybe a third or a half of the amounts that I would use in the spring or in the summer, where the temperatures are much higher and where they're really growing quickly. But as you see, they're still growing. This one has grown quite a bit since it quit blooming last month. So how often am I watering and fertilizing? About every 5 days. This is January, and we just don't get as much sun as we would, not nearly as much sun as we would in the springtime. But about every 5 days, this one gets watered or fertilized. I just water one time. 5 days later, I'm going to fertilize. 5 days later, I'm going to water. And you'll notice that sometimes they do take up a little bit more water than others. The last time that I watered this one was day before yesterday, and I was kind of surprised because it actually retained quite a bit of water. I watered it very well. I have them set up so that they automatically drain from the pot immediately, because remember, you don't want to leave your Thanksgiving cactus setting in water or it will cause its demise. But I was very surprised that it didn't drain all that much, and I watered it very thoroughly. And I'm also very surprised that these cacti have grown so much in the month of January. Normally they wait until February or March. And I'm just wondering if, when you put them on a really regular watering and fertilizing schedule all through the year, I'm just thinking that they produce better, they grow better, because the consistency of your care in a plant is very, very important. And I believe that the more consistent you are with them, the better that they produce. And I was just taking a really close look at this one. This one still has a lot of buds on it. So it's probably going to be in bloom for about the next month. And this one is very different than my huge red Thanksgiving cactus. It has these beautiful dainty leaves. They look very lacy and pretty. And these blooms are Christmas red. So these are all just so different and interesting to watch grow. They're quite fascinating to me. So this has been a fun video to do in the middle of January. I've enjoyed sharing these beautiful plants with you and all these gorgeous blooms. I love plants that bloom in the winter. So I'd love to say the blessing over you and your families. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord shine his face towards you and give to you his peace. We'll see you all next time. Thanks so much for watching.